It's Monday.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Movie News here on this Monday night. It feels like Sunday. I'm tripping out my nut already. It's bank holiday here in the UK and it feels very strange being here.
Sort your camera out there, Stephen.
The Q&A yesterday, John, it did feel like that was Monday's show for some reason, but we're back and we're back with a bang.
We're back with a bang. Messrs Brown and McGregor.
And we're talking about Quiet Place 2 once more, John. This is all about the opening box office and numbers prove that movie theatres are back with a bang as well.
Hopefully.
And before we do that, I'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. We are live and interactive. And John, we'll get into this in a little moment, obviously, with the box office
very small, don't I, Stephen?
Yeah, but listen, you actually checked out the Conjuring 3's box office.
Not doing,
how that's doing. It's not doing
quite as well.
Yeah,
$3.9 million.
It's early days, but John, anyway, this is coming from Screen Rant and via Variety, who reported that Quiet Place 2 has grossed an impressive $48 million between Friday and Sunday, exceeding expectations and breaking the record for the biggest opening weekend of the pandemic. Currently playing in 3,726 theatres, the film is expected to gross $58 million through Memorial Day on Monday. Though the sequel's budget is a bit more than the original's, coming in at $61 million, A Quiet Place 2 looks to be in no trouble of earning itself a strong profit. John, I'm not going to sort of downplay the fact that this film is getting great reviews from the likes of Stephen King, the director of...
Do you trust Stephen King though, Stephen?
I can't remember the director's name of The Exorcist.
Well, I can't either. Do you trust Stephen King though, Stephen?
I think I do when it's something that's not one of his properties.
Because he's unreliable, to say the least.
For his own, he's very blinkered, you know.
Yeah, also it's Kubrick.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I think he's very precious over his own work, John. But the likes of Ryan Reynolds has come out and given it glowing reports as well. So
he's seen it.
Apart from that,
I didn't know it was out.
Well, I didn't know either, John. But I think that has got a lot to do with it. It's a big film. It's the cinemas are being open for the public once more. I think that's got a lot to do with it as well. But John, A Quiet Place 2. You're looking forward to this movie. I know you are. You've been talking about this for months now. I'm not too perplexed about it. I'll probably will see it, you know, just to see how it is. But this is great numbers though, isn't it? For its opening weekend, 4 days, and it's already grossed over $48 million. Very impressive.
Stephen, it is very impressive. Look, I'm excited for it purely because Cillian Murphy's in there, as I have said before. I read the initial reactions for this movie and it did look promising. I can see that light in the shot again. That's my dog. Get that light to fuck. Yeah, I'm very excited about it, Stephen. I'm looking forward to seeing the continuing adventures of the Abbott family. Abbott, however you say it, I don't know. I'm not John Krasinski. Maybe he can fill us in when he can be asked and as to how you pronounce the actual family's name. But Stephen, I think this is a sign that there is some life in the box office once again. $48 million in its opening weekend. The original gross $58 million. $60 million. And obviously they are projecting it will make $58 million over the sort of cumulative box office opening weekend. So I think that is a sign that there's life back for specific movies. I don't know if there's life back total for all movies. I don't think, for instance, we could get some no-mark director putting out an indie sort of movie in the theatres and it'd make that kind of money. As you did rightfully say, I checked Conjuring 3, another big horror release over the last couple of weeks. It's only made $3.9 million at the box office in the United States of America, which is mind-blowing because we do have LA, the whole of California opened, I do believe, with theatres, Las Vegas, Nevada. I don't know if New York's opened, I presume it is. So that is a big release, big names in there, Vera Farmiga, Patrick Wilson, and that can't even gross over $4 million at the box office. So there is signs of life for big releases. I think this is promising for Marvel, in particular with Black Widow coming out shortly, Eternals, Shang-Chi, that we have got life at the box office. If we can get the fucking vaccinations sped up a bit more, get more people fully vaccinated, provided they want it and they're not some tinfoil hat wearing Bill Gates person, because Bill Gates is getting tan just now for some reason. I'm not sure why. I think they think about they're microchipping as well. And my argument to that is, well, we're already androids anyway. We have phones, we have watches.
Yeah.
They're tracking us everywhere we go. I've got my heart rate, my VO2 maximum. Everything's getting tracked, man. Body oxygen level. So I don't give a fuck. They can vaccine me, put a microchip in me, and I don't really care. As long as it gets me back safe in theatres on the regular, I'm a happy boy. And it looks as though that's the case for a lot of people, Stephen, because $48 million is insane money. Insane money, a lot more than what Tenet made. So I'm happy for Emily Blunt, I'm happy for Cillian Murphy, I'm happy for John Krasinski, I'm happy for Paramount for taking a chance and releasing this fully in the theatres, because this is the only... Is it Paramount? Or is it Warner Brothers?
Paramount, John, yeah.
Yeah, it was The Conjuring. Was it?
Paramount announced a sequel shortly after the first film came out.
For some reason I thought this was Warner Brothers, because it got a sole release in the theatres instead of going on HBO Max. But look, it's great news regardless. Stephen, do you think that this will be something that will play into the hands of a Marvel, into the hands of Disney, who are releasing an absolute monumental amount of movies this year between now and December? I think it's 4 movies coming out. And they've got even more backlogged going into next year. Do you think this is something that will play right into their hands? Because I do.
I think it is.
To bring this up,
Stephen.
Stephen.
This is the return of the theatre experience. It's a long time coming, and I think it will have a positive effect on the upcoming films. Not just Marvel, but every big film that's coming up in June. And the Spider-Man film, which I kind of regard as an MCU film, but it's Sony. But John, it's great news, especially for that genre and all. You know, when you think about horror,
doesn't do well here.
It doesn't
for
do
some
well
reason.
here, and horror sequels don't tend to do well here either. I don't know how Chapter 2 of It performed here in the UK. I can't remember.
I think it done well, Stephen, to be fair, because
it is a rarity, and it does take a certain franchise like A Quiet Place or In It to be able to do that.
Very unique, isn't it?
It is,
Stephen, man. I mean, it's nearly touching the originals box office grossing
already,
opening in a non-pandemic era.
Yeah.
So that speaks volumes for just how strong it actually is. And it'll be a small budget movie. I can't actually get information on the movie's budget, but it won't be a lot.
No.
Maybe a little bit more than the original, but it'll be below, I reckon, $20 million.
It did say this, though the sequel's budget is a bit more than the original's, coming in at 61 million.
61 million budget? Wow, that surprises me. 17 was the original. In fairness, they are opening it up a bit. We're bringing in Cillian Murphy here. He commands more money than maybe Krasinski, who's making it. It's a passion project for him. Bigger actors coming in.
You can sense in a way, like it's like
what you,
the
Steve?
Blumhouse films, you know, where you get
shot
that
now.
very small budget for an original release, and if that film performs well, which 9 times out of 10 a Blumhouse will perform well, you know, if there is a sequel to an existing film, I mean, no one really knew much about A Quiet Place when it was first released, other than who was in it. John Krasinski was going to appear in it and direct it with his wife, and I think it just took everyone by surprise.
Millicent, is that the young woman that's in it? Little girl?
Yeah, I think.
She was very, very good in the first one.
Yeah, and
very good.
I think everyone, because it just came from nowhere. It was so much a dark horse, the original film. People just want to see more of these characters. They want to see where the story takes now, where they're going to go with it. It's all very intriguing, and I think that's helped as well. Like most sequels do, you know. But I think obviously the return to theatres is a big. And I think that's had a big sway in the box office. And as they rightly say, Screen Rant at the bottom of this article, it's been nearly a year of no blockbuster movies. It's really only been Tenet. It came out. Obviously, Conjuring 3 has come out, but Tenet nearly a year ago. So it's been a long wait for people to get back to a theatre, and there'll be a lot of people itching at the bit to get back. And Steve, we experienced the theatre sort of going experience during the pandemic, and it wasn't that bad. It had the mask on. It was a little bit annoying at times, but shame you couldn't eat the popcorn. But it's good for my waistline, and it wasn't that bad. It's something you can deal with for another 6 months, hopefully, not much more. And then we can get back to real normality, getting in and crunching on the popcorn and drinking yourself into a coma, because that's what it's all about for me, going to the theatres. It's all part of the
Not good for the chest size, for the cup size, but good for
all the teeth.
Everything else.
John, but we're going to move on anyway to our next article, and it's all about Joker 2, reportedly being written by original movies director. Now this came in, this is actually 4 days old, this news, but it dropped the day we were doing our movie review, so we didn't really have a chance to talk about it. But it's all about Joker 2. We'll reportedly see Todd Phillips, who directed and co-wrote the original Joker movie, returned to co-write the sequel for Warner Brothers. This again coming in from Screen Rant, John. According to a report from THR, Phillips will return to pen the script for the next Joker instalment. It's unclear whether or not original co-writer Silver will also be coming back for the sequel, but Phillips' returns suggests that he's also likely to be directing Joker 2. Warner Brothers has announced a large number of new, relatively independent DC film projects over the past year, and it should be interesting to see how Joker's unique style fits into those future plans. Happy about this, John?
Yeah, Stephen, in a sense, and then conflicted in another sense, because I've spoke about this before, and I says at the time, I don't know what to make of it. Would it be right to bring it back? Would it be better to keep it a standalone, one and done movie? Because it was a great movie, Stephen. People started shitting on it 6 months after it came out, once it started getting all of the Oscar buzz. But it was a decent, very decent movie. I liked the story. Of course, it was sort of I changed that accidentally, I think I did. Shit. That's the problem, you've got it on your mouse, man. You can brush against the mouse and change it, but I'll keep it on me anyway. We'll utilise those white shots a little bit more.
Might as well be on you.
It's not good when it's on me though, Stephen, because I usually make an ass of myself when it's just me on the screen, and then we have to cut back to you laughing at something I've says. In the case of Elton John, Rocket Man. That famous slip from me. But Stephen, I was conflicted because I like these kind of movies to remain one and done. In some ways, the likes of Shawshank, movies like that, Terminator could have been a one and done. And you keep it a one and done experience, it takes on an order of its own. Blade Runner's another example. When you don't have a sequel, lots of what happened, what ifs. Look at, I mean, we know of a person, Stephen, who has done podcasts with famous people, asking them to come up with their own scenarios on what happened after the credits went down. They rolled. So that's what you could have had with this movie. What happened to Arthur Fleck after he went into that sort of jail time? Did he kill that psychiatrist at the end? Did he just fully fledged into a complete and utter insane version of Joker? You would never know that if it was one and done, but it would lend an air of, I don't know, some specialness to that movie. But at the same time, if we're getting a sequel and Joaquin Phoenix is up for it, and it's, what is it, Todd Phillips? He's back doing it once again. You're getting all the gang back together. It was a special movie. They can make something even more out of this sequel potentially. It could bring Batman in. Could even be that it's Robert Pattinson's Batman, and that we have a connection of that universe with that first movie, and it all blends in lovely. I don't know, Stephen.
I think
I'm excited it's the same people involved. That's what I'm saying.
The only thing would be the timeline. I think it would have to move on to 10-15 years.
Do we know when the Batman's set, what actual decade it's set in?
I don't know, John, but obviously we got a glimpse of young Bruce Wayne, so it was
of course,
so it would have to move on, but that's not a problem.
Oh my God, the dog is farted again, Stephen. Why do we allow this dog in
this
room?
I think Harley, John, I think that's his response, is he doesn't want Joker 2. Listen, I can understand why a lot of people don't want to see a sequel to this film, and not because they didn't like the first film. The first film was perfect in its own way. It was, had a great story to it. It had a great origins to the Joker. It left us on tenterhooks at the very end, in a sense that it was the beginning of things to start the wheels motion in Gotham as
became Joker in essentially the last shot of the movie. So we had Arthur Fleck, this discombobulated guy,
and essentially as well in that alleyway scene with
Joe Chill.
I think that's the birth of Batman as well, right there. Although he's just a young lad, that is the birth of him. So I'm quite happy for it just to be a standalone film, and I'm quite happy for it to, as you said, let's leave all the what ifs, because I think that's a great way for a solitary film to be put out. What ifs, you've seen it before with films from the 1970s that were a standalone film. Stanley Kubrick films, such like and
it was Shining. We got Dr. Sleep that filled it in.
And it doesn't really have an effect on them. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't mire the first film, John. So I think because of the time gap between both films as well,
you can almost disconnect them as well, Stephen, because it's more Stephen King shit going on in there.
It's not up to me, John. It's not up to you. If the studio are deciding to do this, I want to see Joaquin Phoenix back then, and I want to see Todd Phillips directing it, because if you don't have those two, or only one of those two, then it's not going to be as good. And
I don't think Phoenix has done many sequels, if any. So he's a guy who's principled. He likes his one and done. It was an Oscar win. Can you really top that performance? I think it's going to be difficult. It was almost like what would have happened with Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight if he hadn't tragically passed away. There was talk of reusing him. He'd be in Arkham Asylum. and they'd maybe bring him back, but of course he passed away and we never really got to see it. You don't see many sequels with the Joker.
No.
He's a character that's usually one and done because
Yep.
he's such a big villain.
Yep.
But of course the way they utilised that character, it being a standalone origin story for Joker, never done before, it does
No.
give them the scope to go off and actually make an out and out batshit crazy Joker movie
Yeah.
with someone in there. It doesn't have to be Batman, because we'll have 3-4
Could be
Batmans.
other villains, John.
Could be other villains, yeah.
That would be very interesting, but you're absolutely right. If they do it, I don't want to see another version of Batman at the moment. I think they're getting too much.
Michael Keaton, Ben
Yeah.
Affleck, Robert Pattinson, and now another fucking Batman.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to bury another Batman.
Yeah, as well as the
Right.
little boy from Gotham.
Yes,
as well,
5 Batman.
Yeah, so,
Batman.
in the space of 5 years.
Full
it's-
Spider-Man.
Yeah, full Spider-Man. But listen, I don't really want to see a sequel. But if they're going to do it, then I want the right people in charge to be able to bring it to our screens. And who knows, it might be a very interesting concept. One person that will certainly not be returning is Robert De Niro's character. I love that scene. Absolutely love
Knock
it.
knock.
Oh, it's fantastic, isn't it? But
You're a
we're
horrible.
gonna-
You're a horrible. What was it he says to him? You're horrible.
Yeah, what is it? You're a terrible human being or something. I can't remember.
What's he say to him before he shoots him, Stephen?
I can't remember.
That was
John. It's
fucking
so-
amazing.
it's
The
so,
scene's just incredible.
yeah.
But he just
get what
shoots
you
him.
Fucking deserve.
Yeah, you
That's
fucking
it.
deserve bang. Fucking superb. Love it.
What do you get when you cross? Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, you fucking deserve bang. Oh, it's
Yeah.
just amazing.
Yeah.
Honestly,
It
I love
was-
the movie, Steve.
John, I'll tell you something. So watching that in the cinema, it was quite shocking.
Yeah.
Because I knew something was going to happen, but I didn't think it'd be as graphic as that. I don't know
It was-
why. I was very naive, thinking it wouldn't. But
Well, I mean, after the scene with the dwarf,
what's that?
after the scene with the little dwarf guy,
Yeah, I know.
he's fucking him.
But I laughed at that.
That was amazing.
I thought
You
it
can't
was
get in the door. Oh, brilliant. And he's like, he basically want to hug him. He's like, no, let me out, man. Let me out.
Can't get away from you.
Yep.
Yeah,
Fucking
it
brilliant
was,
movie.
It was great, John. But we're going to move on to our next topic, and it's all about Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin. I know you want to see him as the Joker next,
Yes, I
John,
do.
at some point, maybe in Robert Pattinson's the
Matt
Batman. But
Reeves.
he's rumoured to be the Spider-Man 3's main villain. A new rumour about Spider-Man No Way Home plot claims Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is the main villain of the MCU's Spider-Man 3 movie. I'll just read this little bit, John, and I'll let you in with your thoughts on
I'm
this.
getting clinical with watching where you're going now, Stephen. Absolutely clinical.
But it's Green Goblin was the main villain of Spider-Man. Had
Yes.
cameos in both sequels after dying in the first film. Yeah, I think it was a Visions, wasn't there? He came back in for the Harry
Vision.
character, played by James Franco.
James Franco, he'll not be
He'll
returning.
not be returning. No,
That's for sure.
His return in
Seth Rogen's turned his back on him. He's fucked.
Spider-Man No Way Home is now rumoured to see him return in a major way. Collider's Jeff Schneider revealed on his podcast The Schneider Cut via the Direct that he heard Green Goblin is the
Jeff
main
Schneider.
villain of Spider-Man 3 and is pretty sure this information is accurate.
It's usually
He
on the
went
ball, Jeff, to be
on
fair.
to say Green Goblin is one of the 6 villains in the movie, and the movie's
Ah!
title is a reference to the villains from other dimensions not having a way home.
Oh, that'd
Oh.
be brilliant, man.
Oh, right.
I like that.
I like that, John.
I
Because
thought it was linked to Peter Parker.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
if it's the villains, oh my fucking
Yeah,
god,
they're
that is
lost.
dynamite.
Yeah, they're lost. So, but he does say, however, he also cautioned to take all this with a grain of salt for the time being.
Covering his tracks.
He's saying that this information is
So what you're
accurate,
telling
and
me,
he's-
Jeff, is it's fan fiction?
Yeah, it sounds fantastic actually.
It
But
does.
John, it makes sense. So if you're going to have 6 villains, there has to be someone that lead them.
Yeah.
I naturally assumed it would be the Michael Keaton character.
Yeah, Vulture.
Vulture, yeah.
Or
Just because
Alfredo.
he's more
Alfred. Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
Molina.
Yeah,
Alfredo.
I can't say that.
Morelos.
That's Scouse accent, John.
They can never pronounce his name. It's an in-joke.
Yeah.
No one outside of Scotland will ever get that. But within Scotland, they can never pronounce a guy's name. And it's the most simple fucking name on the
Yeah.
earth. Alfredo Morelos. They say
Yeah.
Morales. It's just Morelos. Morelos.
Yeah.
Did you not go to fucking school? Well,
John-
Alfred Molina.
It does make sense, so doesn't it, to have someone leading that pack of. I'm assuming this is the Sinister Six we're talking about. Yeah.
Steve, it's been a long time coming, hasn't
Yeah.
it? The Sinister Six. Sony have been wanting it for years.
Yep.
I think you tried to introduce it.
2003 was the first time. No, sorry, 2013.
Yeah, because it was Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
I'm losing the plot here. It's like the sunstroke earlier on today. I couldn't even speak a word. I was actually tripping there. The most basic fucking words in the English language, which is not like me. I'm usually pretty coherent. I do swear a lot, but I'm coherent. Stephen, they've been wanting this for years, and look, if this is get even a hint of truth in it, then it's tantamount to a confirmation that we are getting a Sinister Six movie. And look, Stephen, with a Sinister Six movie, it's almost necessary that we have more than one Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think it's nearly been confirmed now. Obviously, Holland came out and says he didn't know anything about it. But you can't have 6 villains against one Peter Parker. Now, I did see a photograph shared from behind the scenes with him and the Ned character. I actually forget the actual guy's name.
Yeah.
It's funny as hell, that little bald dude. He's not bald, he just shaves his head for some reason. Don't know why. If I had hair, I wouldn't have it shaved in. But he was bruised. He'd been beaten up, the actual Peter Parker character, Tom Holland's character. So he is going to get his shit kicked in quite a lot in this movie, I'm pretty sure. But I think at some point we will see the 2 other Spider-Man characters coming in. Eric Spider-Man, Phil Spider-Man.
It's very easy to say.
I think we will see those 2 coming in.
Makes sense, John. I mean, you've got 6 villains and you want 3 Spider-Men. I don't know how to say it. Spider-Mans.
What's the plural of Spider-Man? Lexi? Spider's eye?
Well, you've got a Spider-Man taking on 2 each then, haven't you? You know, and that's the way it could be cut. You know, that's
and it would certainly be good if it was at the end. If they appear in the middle and it's just them beating up on Tom Holland's Peter Parker, and then it's almost like a portal scene where the other 2 come out. And then the finale, the final act is just split between these 3 guys taking on different villains. It would be absolutely incredible.
I'm going to just ask a question.
And just Green Goblin coming back, I'd love that, man.
I was going to say, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, who's he taking on? What's the 2 he's
I
taking
think
on?
myself, Stephen, he would take on Green Goblin.
And Doc Ock.
Because that's his villains.
Yeah.
And then Electro would obviously be the Andrew Garfield version. I don't know who else he could take on. But I presume Tom Holland will take on Vulture and Scorpion, is it? Is it Scorpion? I don't even know. The 2. Venom's rumoured that I don't know if he will. We don't know who the 6th one would be, Stephen. We know that it's definitely Doc Ock and Electro. We know that Vulture and Scorpion, I think it is a Scorpio, they have unfinished business. There was an end credit scene at the start of Homecoming that's not been addressed, and that's sloppy, and Kevin Feige's not sloppy. He will pay back to that end credit scene, so they've got unfinished business. It leaves potentially Green Goblin if he's telling the truth, and I think it is. I think Dafoe will come back, and then there's a unknown mystery one. It could be Venom, it could be Tom Hardy coming in. So if it is him, then you would presume it would probably be, I don't know, man, him taking on Scorpio and Vulture, and perhaps Garfield taking on Electro and Venom. I don't know, Steve, I don't know. It's all hypothetical. We're making things up here. But you would think Tobey Maguire would take on his traditional villains, and Dafoe and Alfred Molina were his villains. So it makes sense. It's all making sense, Stephen. Can you not see it now? It's all starting. It's all fitting. We have these villains who can't get home. We have 2 Spider-Man characters coming in who can't get home. They all fight their own villains. It's fucking payback. It's all perfect. Make it so. Number 1.
John, we're only
make it so.
John,
number 1.
Point, right?
Patrick Stewart. Make it so.
That's the 2nd time you referenced that
Rijkaard
since last week's episode that we did. We have to make that a point that you say that in every episode.
Make it so. Number 1.
Yeah.
Steve, I love Generation.
I will
love
say
that.
one thing. We're only, what are we, 6 months away? 6 months away from the Spider-Man release.
Yep.
And we've not heard a thing. They must have a
They're
lot
trolling the fans.
under wraps. They must, John.
Stephen, see, I'm convinced.
We're not getting anything apart
No
from
trailer.
that photograph you're talking about, Tom Holland and his little pal Ned.
Stephen, the fact we've not got a trailer 6 months out, we've already had multiple trailers for just at Black Widow. We've had one trailer for Shang-Chi. Yeah, we've had trailers. So I think they're trying to furiously cut things up to make it look like they're not in the movie, but they're absolutely in the fucking movie, Stephen. I don't think they can afford to give anything away. This movie is almost directly connected into WandaVision and then into Multiverse of Madness. These are colossal movies that are coming out. I think they're going to shape the rest of Phase 4 and beyond irrevocably. So they have to get it right. The promotion, everything, the actual story.
I've got every faith.
And I hope
William
Dafoe. William Dafoe coming back would be amazing.
Well, exactly. And I will say one thing about Sony. They did the Spider-Man films brilliantly. Apart from one. One out of the, maybe
1.5.
Maybe Amazing Spider-Man 2 wasn't great either, to be fair. But I think at that point they already knew that we're getting this sort of deal with Marvel at that point, and they just kind of gave up.
They've made 3 of the greatest Spider-Man movies of all time. 1, 2 and Into the Spider-Verse. And none of the Tom Holland ones have came there. That was good. It was good.
First Andrew Garfield with your man from I always forget his name, Reef Afinis or something like that. Ifans, the Welsh guy.
Oh right, Ryan Ephans, yeah, it's Rise Ephans something.
Say his name wrong, John.
Yeah,
but he was a great Peter Parker. Him, he played that lizard character. I can't remember the doctor. It was the sort of mentor for Peter Parker in school. Can't remember his name, but it was great. It was great, John.
Search it up just now, Steve.
Yeah, but listen, we'll move on just now to our next.
That's why I have a phone on me at all times.
Dr. Connors.
Dr. Connors, I'll find out just now, Stephen.
But John, Sylvester Stallone has shared a new poster for Rocky IV Director's Cut. This came in from
Dr. Connors.
Cut Connors, yeah.
Cut Connors.
Rocky Balboa actor Sylvester Stallone releases a new poster for Rocky versus Drago. The Ultimate Director's Cut, but says it isn't the final artwork. Now, I think this was via his Instagram, John. I'm just going to scroll down.
Look at that poster.
It's outstanding, isn't it? It's very 80s looking as well, which I like about it. But Stallone recently
check the latissimus and dossiers you out there, man.
To share a new poster for Rocky v Drago. The actor / director explained that this is not the final artwork, and the movie will first premiere in Philadelphia, as it should.
Philly.
Stallone's original post can be seen below, as you can see there in official Slice.
Don't know what happened when I click on it.
13.1 million followers. This chap.
Have I got Instagram on this?
But John, you looking forward to this? I know they're cutting out all the robot crap and all that was in the Rocky IV. I always found Rocky IV quite a bit cheesy, to be honest with you. But it was a great film. It was very entertaining, and Ivan Drago was a great.
He dies.
Yeah, it was a great adversary to Rocky Balboa, and obviously Apollo Creed as well. But it's going to be very interesting to see how this cut performs as well. And it's strange that he's picking this film. You think perhaps he would go back and do them all, but certain directors do. But
I think one's perfection, though, isn't it?
Well, one and two, John, I think are great. I always liked the second one for just the whole. You remember when Adrian was in the coma after having the baby, and she was in it for quite a big chunk of the film, and he didn't want to do the rematch with Apollo Creed, etc. He was getting pulled in different directions by Mickey, who wanted him to fight. He didn't want to because obviously Adrian's situation and all that. And then when she wakes up, she says, "There's only one thing I want you to do," and he's like, "What's that?" She says, "Win," and then it kicks in with the Bill Conti music. It's amazing, John. It's a really great scene, and Mickey says, "What are we waiting for?" And it's just great. And that's what I love about the first two films, John. The first one was it didn't have the biggest budget, but the way it was shot, Sylvester Stallone is a great director. He's a great writer as well, John. You've got to give him credit for that as well. He's writing, especially with characters he's created. I think it means more to him. Certainly the Rambo character as well. But I think, I don't think the Rambo character was his, was it? Because I'm pretty sure the first film was based on a book.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure it was.
Maybe he created the character. I don't know, to fit into the story from the book. I'm not sure.
It was definitely based on the treatment of veterans coming over.
Yeah,
pretty sure it was. Or maybe it's fantastical. I don't know.
Is this something you're looking forward to, John, or would you have liked to have seen him going back to the very beginning?
No, Stephen, I love this film. I think it's brilliant just for the James Brown stuff. Living in America.
And Apollo with the big hat.
Yeah, Stephen, I love Carl Weathers. I love Carl Weathers.
Yeah.
We can't say Carol here.
No.
We say Carol.
Yeah.
Carl. So I love Carl Weathers. So I enjoyed him, and I enjoyed his demise almost as much as well, Stephen, because he was an arrogant fucker and he deserved these comeuppance. And who better to die to than the great Dolph Lundgren, who was an absolute Swedish Adonis, but more like a Russian Adonis, because he was Russian in it, taking his steroids and stuff like that, and just punching that machine into the Jupiter in a sense. So I liked that movie. I liked the training montage of Rocky. I think he went up to the mountains, didn't he?
Yeah, in Siberia.
In Siberia, and done all of his training, the one-handed push-ups, his pull-ups, just showcasing an incredible physique. And then the actual conclusion at the end was brilliant. So I enjoyed the movie. I liked the way it flowed. But that was the movie, wasn't it? Did he do Ivan Drago in that one?
Yeah.
It was at the start that Apollo Creed gets done in.
Yeah, he did the sort of exhibition match.
Yeah.
Kind of went.
Then he gets his comeuppance at the end. Yeah. Stephen, I love that movie, so I'm kind of glad that he's chosen that one to do a special edition of, because I'm sure there's some unseen footage. I think he's cut out the robot thing, hasn't he?
He's cut
The
out
actual
all the sort of light and fluffy stuff that's in the film and made it a bit sort of darker. I think there's a lot of deleted scenes that have been reinserted as well.
So Stephen, it's the director's cut, so that's also the version he had in mind in the first place. Studio interference, nagging, he's had to cut things out and water it down a bit. This is us getting the unfiltered version of his actual movie, and as you did say, Stephen, he is a great director. And of course, he got an Oscar, didn't he, for screenplay?
For the first movie.
For the first movie, so did he not win something for Rocky Balboa in 2006?
He won something
supporting
for Creed.
Was it Creed? It would have been supporting in Creed.
Yeah.
So he's great, man. I love Sly.
Yeah,
he gets tanned at times, but he's just absolutely brilliant. No one rips their pectoris major muscle. I don't know why I'm giving it its full fucking name. It's pec muscle. Gets a wire inserted and actually looks better after. So, got to respect Sly. And I respect his version.
I hope this is going to be released in the cinema as well. I think it will have a run in the cinema. Well, if it is,
I'll have to go and see it in the theatre.
It will be the only second Rocky film I've seen. I did go and see Rocky Balboa in the cinema back in 2006. And that film took me by surprise how good it was.
That was good. That line. It's not about how hard you get hit.
Yeah.
It's about how hard you can. How hard you can hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
That is cheesy, John, but
it's
it's
good line though.
Only somebody like Rocky Balboa can pull that off, and it can be acceptable. But I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great as well, just to hear that Rocky theme again. You know, just in theatres. Yeah. I always remember the trailer, the two big gloves, the Russian glove and the American glove clashing, boof, like that, and exploding. It was epic.
Stephen, no one does boxing quite like Rocky Balboa. He gets his shit kicked out of him consistently. He comes back, he's a stupor, he's in a drunken stupor.
Yeah.
And then he comes back and wins, so you've got to love it. Love your sports movies, man.
Something else we love, or two things we love, India and the Beatles, and that's what we're talking about next. And this is coming from ultimateclassicrock.com, and fear not, it's actually movie related. We're not talking about music here. Well, we are in a sense, but this is movie related, and it's all about new Beatles and India film to include album of interpretations. We call that covers, but this is actually come out on the 28th of May.
Love that artwork, Stephen, I have to say.
Fantastic,
Absolutely fucking incredible.
Look at that.
Psychedelic. It's like it's straight out of Magical Mystery Tour, Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, an enduring love affair, and that's certainly what it was.
Bit of cure shaker.
I'm going to just definitely, I'm going to just read the article, John, because it's very short and sweet anyway, and it kind of highlights the sort of what's related to this story anyway. And the new documentary called The Beatles in India will centre on the band's spiritual and creative connection with the country. There will also be a companion album of Beatles songs interpreted by Indian artists. The movie is set to premiere in the UK on the 6th of June, while the LP titled The Beatles in India, songs inspired by the film will follow in the fall. That's autumn, we call that here. Each album track was either inspired by the Beatles' 1968 visit to India or other era-specific songs related to the country. Some include Child of Nature, Sexy Sadie and Dear Prudence.
Sexy Sadie.
You can hear Marish. You can hear the first single, a cover of John Lennon's 1980 song India India, performed by singer Nikhil D'Souza below. And I'm not going to click that, John, because I don't want to get into trouble, but the film is co-directed by Ajoy Bose, author of Across the Universe, The Beatles in India, and cultural researcher Peter Compton, and features rarely seen archival footage, photographs, recordings, eyewitness accounts, expert comments, and on-location shoots across India. The Beatles' 1968 journey to India was also documented last year in Meeting the Beatles in India.
I've never seen that.
No, I've not seen it.
Watch it.
Yep, exactly. A feature from Emmy-winning filmmaker Paul Saltzman, who has travelled to India and met the group there. You can view the track listings for the upcoming album here, John. I'm not going to read them all out because they are there, they're on the screen. It better
be everybody's got something to hide. It's set from Me, My Monkey. Oh, yes.
Yeah. John, I always like when these kind of albums come out because I do like to see different interpretation of Beatles songs.
What was that song, Stephen? The one with Sean Penn? Was it Sean Penn?
It was I Am Sam.
I Am Sam.
The soundtrack to that, John, I loved. I know obviously certain films, when they want to cover sort of Beatles related stuff, can't afford to be able to put the original soundtracks, and I get that.
No.
So the next best thing is to get established artists to cover these famous songs.
And then you had the Sgt. Pepper's.
It will cost you some money to do that, but not as much as obviously. Yeah, John, exactly, Sgt. Pepper's as well. But this is something that's right down my street. I love a good Beatles documentary. I prefer when it's an Apple release, an Apple
Yeah.
Corpse release, because it's the definitive version. It's what actually happened. But I don't mind this, John, especially when you're getting people who spoke to the Beatles. Paul Saltzman, is it, who travelled to India and met the group there. So it's kind of first-hand eyewitness accounts anyway. So it's not, I heard someone saying, this happened. It's not third-hand information or anything like that. It's coming from someone who was an eyewitness. So, and obviously the tracks as well, John. There's some famous, great tracks in there.
Yeah, well,
in fact, they're all great tracks.
We'll bring them back up, Steve, and have a little look.
Hear these versions.
Steve, look, I'm not going to presume to know much about the Indian artists who are covering them, because I don't know much about them, but I'm very intrigued to hear them. Because as you did say, I also like to hear different interpretations on classic Beatles songs, and certainly when you look at the era, it's the White Album era, round about then, and that is one of my favourite eras, because it's when they were really getting into their acid spirituality and exploring new concepts. So I'm excited to see it.
Yeah.
And then obviously George was the most famous one, dabbling with the Indian stuff.
Yeah.
The sitar and going over. He was well into his transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
I think it's a Hindu thing. Not Hindi, that's a language. Hindu sort of thing. I might be wrong. I may be well wrong in actual fact. But I want to see them looking at this. I don't know if it's just about their connection with the Indian style music, of course, Within You, Without You and all of that. They brought in, was Inner Light another one?
Inner Light, yeah.
They brought in all of the sort of Indian stuff. I know he wasn't the only one. I know Brian Jones of
the Rolling Stones.
The Rolling Stones. Yeah. Drugged out his nut, Brian Jones. He was dabbling with sitar around about the same time.
So was the Kinks.
Yeah. So I know it was a widespread thing. They were mixing all the different cultures into a big melting pot, which is always good.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're just going to focus on that. I'm looking at it, they're saying long location shoots across India, so it's going to be archival footage, so we're going to see more of the Maharishi Yogi Mahesh, I think the geezer was, that get famously sung about in Sexy Sadie, because he got accused of inappropriately touching one of the actors who was there. It's famous group of famous people. And I think Lennon famously says when George Harrison wasn't backing him up, that's when I knew we were in trouble. So I cannot wait to see this, man. I'm intrigued by that Paul Saltzman one as well. I'm going to go and have a look at that, meeting the Beatles in India.
Yeah, definitely.
Just want to see more of that period, man. They were absolutely cool as hell. I've seen some of the shots. Lennon with his sort of overgrown sideburn beard.
Yeah, the glasses, yeah.
Glasses, just incredible time. They're experimenting, finger picking and stuff like that.
Kind of stuff that features in the Beatles anthology. And you do think there must be more out there. There must be more footage, because it only shows you little bits in the Beatles anthology, because they were covering so much, the whole complete history of the Beatles.
I think there's more archive footage, Stephen, floating around.
I think so. And
fantastic.
I still believe there's more footage of Lennon in 1980 as well out there.
Oh, there is.
Apart from that, I'm losing your video that cropped up a couple of times on YouTube, which focused on his guitar rather than actual
terrible
person.
sort of seat guitar thing he had.
Yeah,
I don't know what he's thinking about.
I'm sure there's more out there.
Stephen, I'm sure there is more out there. The truth is out there, as Fox Mulder famously used to say.
Give me some truth.
Give me some truth, yeah. Just give me some truth. I don't know the words. You know them, Stephen?
I do, but that sounded like Jedi Rocks there, John.
Just give me some truth. All I want is some truth. Man, I like to say, man. Peace and love, everybody. That's going to round it up. I'm looking forward to that. I didn't know there was a Paul Saltzman Emmy Award nominated documentary out there on the Beatles. I usually fucking hoover up everything Beatles related. So I'm going to do that. But look, man, what's your thoughts on the array of topics we spoke about? What do you make about the Beatles meets India, the music meets India, the interpretations? If you get anything to share about that, you can comment below. What do you make about Sly Stallone furthering down into this journey of a director's cut of Rocky IV with that amazing poster? What the hell do you make about Spider-Man 3, No Way Home, the potential William Dafoe villain coming back, Green Goblin that is, speaking like it's some no-mark fucking 2-bit villain? It's one of the greatest comic book villains of all time. What do you make about the rest of the stuff? A Quiet Place 2, not 3, John, 2. Joker 2 and A Quiet Place 2. What do you make about them? Is it the saviour of the theatres in 2021? Are they back? You can comment below and share your thoughts if you've got anything to say in the comments section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel on YouTube and hit the follow button over on Twitch if you want to see more content on this in the future, and you will get it, guys. But look, until then, I'm done. I'm going to walk the dog and do my weights. Bye bye.